What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So a quick heads up, tomorrow morning there will be no Newswave. It is Thanksgiving, which means a bunch of us are going to eat a ton of food, we're going to watch football, and then go out and participate in our own real-life battle royale at Walmart, where we try to save about 30%. We'll be back on Friday, though, to wrap up the week. Today, we have a bunch of things to go over, which does include Nintendo's Doug Bowser actually responding to the situation around Activision, saying that they are taking action. We're going to go over that one here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a really cool fan project that has now gone live and is available to download for The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, allowing us to go back in time to 1997 Spaceworld. And we're also going to be talking about a big remake or remaster that's now rumored from Square Enix. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Halo Infinite. Now, the multiplayer side of Halo Infinite launched under the guise of a beta, but they did say they wanted feedback so they can work to balance and kind of shape the game as they head towards that December 8th official release. And hey, 343 has at least been listening to a lot of feedback and already altering some things when it comes to the challenges. Well, it does look like something has come up around crossplay, specifically cheating in the game already. There is a post over on Reddit that you can see here that exploded online after people noticed some footage showing, what looks like an aim assist bot being used. And I don't know how widespread or rampant this is at this time, because a lot, from what I can tell, people will say that someone is cheating in a game when they're just having a good game and you get like a perfect kill with a BR. It's like 4 shots or something. And yeah, from your side, you're like, whoa, they took me out really quick. And they might have just had a good run of shots there to take you down. But this video does show, what appears to be an aim assist bot being used in the game. And the biggest thing people want is to be able to turn off crossplay, because obviously the PC side is an open platform where you could have this stuff used much more easily than on the side with the Xbox. That's locked down a bit tighter. And look, people still cheat on the Xbox. It's been going on for a long time, since the original Halo, or Halo 2, I should say, online, where we had flying warthogs in the game. But still, just the option to turn off crossplay, I think is a good idea. If you just want to play with console players, you should be able to do that. Also, we had something really cool go live yesterday, celebrating the Xbox 20th anniversary. Really a way to look back on the 20 years of Xbox through the lens of a virtual museum. This is something I signed in to check out, and I even posted up on Twitter, because you can sign in to your account and it'll tell you your own history with the Xbox. There's a lot of Halo for me. Go figure there, right? My most played game is indeed Halo 3. And I looked over the other games that they had. It was like Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, which was a super hot game when that came out, as well as Halo Reach and the Master Chief Collection, but also Oblivion. And this made me think back to my college days, where those are most of the games that I played, because you weren't buying a bunch of, well, I wasn't buying a bunch of games back then. I was mostly playing the same games basically every day when I had free time. And yeah, I put a lot of hours into Oblivion. It was a game you could play for a long time on the Xbox 360. But yeah, make sure you check this out. You can see the history of the Xbox, whether it was the 360 debuting on MTV or them showing off Project Natal, and definitely give this one a look. You can sign in right with your browser and check things out. Oh, and we do have a bit of an update on the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy situation, specifically around the patches that are being released. The Switch was missing originally. Now it has been added, and there are patches that are live. Make sure you go ahead and download these, as it does appear they have done improvements around even frame rate and just the overall, I guess, how smooth the game runs when you're driving around, as people have been talking about online. But once again, here are all the bug fixes and patch notes that they have. It is quite the laundry list. We went over this before, and it seems like there are maybe 1 or 2 things added for the Switch that are smaller things. It's more or less different parts of the game that are at least fixed up with graphical issues and visuals, and the overall frame rate and user experience when you're playing the game itself. Apparently a lot of stuttering has been removed, but make sure you download the patch and check it out for yourself. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo and Activision, specifically Doug Bowser addressing the Activision situation after that explosive report from the Wall Street Journal saying that Bobby Kotick has been very aware of a lot of the misconduct that has been going on at Activision over the last several years. But we can see this over on Fanbyte, where they say an email sent by Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser sent on Friday, November 19th, 19th, addresses the Activision Blizzard report. Quote, "Along with all of you, I've been following the latest developments with Activision Blizzard and the ongoing reports of sexual harassment and toxicity at the company. I find these accounts distressing and disturbing. They run counter to my values as well as Nintendo's beliefs, values, and policies." He goes on to say representatives at Nintendo have been in contact with Activision, have taken action, and are addressing others. Now, we're not really sure what exactly they've done in terms of taking action, but this is expected from the different heads of these companies. Remember, we have Microsoft, Sony, and now Nintendo sending out these internal emails. These were not like statements released to the public. They're emails that were sent out to different studios and employees, and then it was just eventually leaked out to different outlets who reported on. Now, they may have known, yeah, okay, this will probably get leaked out there. And obviously, you want the heads of these different companies to make some sort of statement because this entire thing right now with Activision Blizzard is just explosive, and it's not a good situation at all. The fact that the entire state of California investigated them for years, and then we have the report from Wall Street Journal saying that Bobby Kotick was very aware of all this stuff going on. Not a great look, and certainly if you're one of the 3 console manufacturers who has been partnering with Activision for a long time now, yeah, you're gonna have to put something out there going over and addressing this. Coming back to the whole thing around Nintendo taking action, I'm not really sure what they're gonna be doing here. I mean, sure, some of their games are sold on Nintendo's platform with like Diablo 2 most recently released, and there could be games that are in development now that they're looking at and being like, okay, well, what are you guys gonna do about all of this stuff right now that is a PR nightmare in the first place for us to be attached to you? That could be what they're looking into, or just really reassessing their relationship going forward in the future for any potential projects they have lined up. But we also have the ESA making their own statement around it. This was in response to GamesIndustry.biz saying harassment, abuse, or mistreatment of any kind in the workplace is unacceptable and must never be tolerated. When allegations arise, people impacted need to have their voices heard. Any allegation needs to be acknowledged, thoroughly investigated, and addressed with meaningful consequences. The vitality of our industry requires that everyone in the workplace and in our communities feels valued and respected. As an industry association, the ESA convenes in its member companies to create dialogue and shape actions to ensure that these beliefs are realized. So obviously, the pressure continues to mount. Day after day after day, it feels like something new comes out around Activision, whether it's Nintendo, a Microsoft, or Sony, putting out some sort of response saying they're looking into things themselves when it comes to their relationship with Activision or the ESA, making a statement. By the way, all these companies, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, and Activision, are a part of the ESA. So yes, the pressure continues to mount on Activision, and we heard Bobby Kotick say, hey, if I can't fix this quickly, I guess I'll have to resign. We hear about a lot of people who are working within Activision now, not happy that Bobby Kotick is still there with that petition continuing to rack up signatures, over, I think, thousands of signatures now. So to me, the end result is obvious. As long as Bobby Kotick is there, no one's gonna think that they actually addressed the real situation, which really comes down to a culture problem at Activision. The fact that Bobby Kotick was very aware of this and even went in detail about him blocking consequences from certain people at the head of Activision and Blizzard, yeah, that is an issue. And I think it really has to come down to him leaving and someone else taking over. Otherwise, you're probably going to have unrest within the company going forward, and seemingly at this point in the gaming space around Activision. We've talked about the board apparently being behind Bobby Kotick, but I think as we go along, the pressure will eventually, I would assume, get to them. And hey, if sales figures start to go down, well, do they really need Bobby Kotick sticking around much longer? Because I feel like you could get any other CEO in there, and for the most part, as long as they don't try to rock the boat too much, could probably release a Call of Duty every year just like he does. Next up, let's talk about Square Enix and a remake or remastered that is being heavily rumored to actually be shown here in the next couple of months, potentially. Let's head over here to VGC, where they say a remake of Square Enix's classic RPG Chrono is reportedly in development for multiple platforms. Now, there was a report from VGC where there were claims that a PlayStation announcement was going to be made around a remake of a big game this Christmas, so like next month. And these came from a musician who said they were involved with its soundtrack, and it appears now this game has been named. That's according to Xbox Era Nick. The remake in question is Chrono Cross Remastered, going on to say I think was already on the NVIDIA leak list, which it was, by the way, we're gonna have to take another look, I feel like, at that NVIDIA leak list, because a lot of games are turning out to be true, and there were some ones on there that were kind of hard to believe, so it might be worth reading through that again. So they say, so the game shouldn't be surprised it was on NVIDIA's list, but I was told that the VGC article is about Chrono Cross Remastered. What else I was told, because everyone's working under the assumption that it's a PlayStation exclusive, I've been told that it's not. The only word that was used was multi-plat. Now they go on to say when you hear multi-plat, could be PC, Switch, and PlayStation. Obviously when it comes to JRPGs, will it be on the Xbox? Kind of a 50-50 shot there, considering the Xbox isn't exactly the biggest system at all. In Japan, you would want to make sure you have your game at least on the Switch, and I would say if you're going to be doing this, but it appears Sony would have the announcement here, at least what's rumored currently, for a Chrono Cross Remastered. This is an interesting one because we have been seeing Square kind of go back to their legacy games, bring them up, whether it's through a remaster where it's not like a major change, just kind of like making sure everything looks good on an HD display, or going all out and doing something like we see with Dragon Quest III or Final Fantasy VII Remake, and this is where things get interesting, okay? So, Chrono Cross Remastered, I think it's good that it's a remaster, by the way, is being named, because if it's a remake and they Final Fantasy VII Remake that thing, that would be interesting to see how the fan base would react, because I see a lot of people wonder if something like a Chrono Trigger remake would be possible. Well, Chrono Cross Remastered might be a good test, because the original Chrono Cross, I kind of feel like is one that many people missed out on. It's a game that takes place after Chrono Trigger in the same world, but I think it's a couple of decades afterwards, and it sold like 1.5 million copies. It was enough to at least get them one of those ugly greatest hits green banners on the side of the PlayStation casing. So maybe if they put it out, there's a good reaction, people buy it. Maybe they say, hey, let's remake Chrono Trigger, but do you really want them to remake Chrono Trigger after what they did with Final Fantasy VII? That's the big question there. So I guess we'll wait and see if this announcement happens next month, or maybe gets pushed into early next year. However, I like the idea of Square at least taking a look at the Chrono franchise again. Maybe we do work towards a Chrono Trigger remaster. Maybe they do it in that HD 2D format so they don't get too out there when it comes to a remake for it. I think if they can just stay at least within the realm of the original game itself, if they do a remake, that would probably be the best case scenario, because wow, after what happened with Final Fantasy VII, I don't know, the Chrono Trigger fan base might lose it online if that thing gets Nomora'd. Next up, let's talk about a really cool fan project that is now live. You can download it and try it out yourself, even on a real Nintendo 64. You don't have to just emulate this thing, and that is, you can see here, this trailer, Zelda Spaceworld 97 Experience. They say this project aims to be a mostly accurate representation of the Nintendo Spaceworld 1997 demo of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Since this project aims to restore an experience that was originally a demo, it cannot be completed from start to finish like the final game. Instead, 3 gameplay tours featured in the original Spaceworld 1997 demo are available to choose from, each showcasing various unique flavors of gameplay. Now, the origin story as to how all of this came about is actually kind of interesting, as it goes back to the beginning of this year, where Forest of Illusion discovered a development cartridge of F-Zero X. They dumped it and found that half of the 32 megabyte cartridge actually included the demo or prototype from 1997 Spaceworld. And this is something we saw back then that really just kind of set the tone as to what they were working towards with Ocarina of Time. It really impressed everyone, but there were a lot of parts of that game that we just didn't have in the final game. So after that was completely dumped, and then we had the Giga Leak that had other assets, they worked, put all this together into a playable format on, like I said, real hardware or used in an emulator. They also had to recreate and restore a bunch of content to make this happen, whether it's characters, objects, player animations, the interface. I mean, seriously, the amount of changes and things they had to do here to make this work is really impressive. You can also look through the credits to see how many people participated, the amount of effort put in here. It's impressive stuff, and it is pretty cool to know that you can go back and experience that Spaceworld 1997 demo right now if you would like to. You need to have a legally obtained ROM, as they show, and there are instructions for how to patch it and then play it in an emulator, or like I'm gonna do, on an EverDrive through my HDMI enabled Nintendo 64. Just wanted to bring that to your attention so you can check out something that we saw back then but haven't really been able to experience until now. And in our last bit of news, let's let's talk about Epic Games' latest purchase, that being Harmonix, who is now part of the Epic Games family. We can see this over on their website, where they say exciting news for Team Harmonix today, as it's just been announced that we're joining the Epic Games family. This is a monumental day for the team, and one that wouldn't have been possible without years of support from you, our fans. Thank you. And of course, a lot of questions then came up. Okay, one, what's going to happen with Rock Band and the DLC? You probably know Harmonix from Guitar Hero and Rock Band and all that. They say nothing, will be continuing on with our existing DLC plans, and there are lots of great tracks coming as we wrap up 2021 and push into next year. The other question came up is, well, what exactly is Harmonix going to do at Epic Games then? They say our team will work with Epic to create musical journeys and gameplay for Fortnite. While we're not ready to share any specifics, the whole team is incredibly excited to get started. Stay tuned. All right, so we know that Fortnite has done different things with music, like they have full virtual concerts in the game itself. So maybe bring in Harmonix, who's been pretty good in the past at kind of lining up gameplay with music overall, right? I mean, they came up with the whole thing around Guitar Hero, Rock Band, and I kind of think the musical accessory phase has run its course. It's not what it was back when Guitar Hero 2 came out. That was massive. Guitar Hero 3, sure. Rock Band, big deal. I just don't really see a lot of people talking about it as much, if at all. I think there are people who are probably still surprised that DLC is going on for Rock Band at this time. So I'm curious if they can bring some of that knowledge and gameplay experience for music into Fortnite. It's not shocking to hear that we'd see Epic Games buy a studio and then put them on Fortnite. It's their big game. It's the thing that makes them a ton of money. I'm more curious as to what Harmonix can bring to the table for Fortnite and continue to maybe evolve that universe and that game. I guess we'll find out as we head into 2022. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a little poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, have you ever played Chrono Cross? 18% said yes, I played it at least once. 47% said no, I've heard of it but never played it. And then 35% said, what's Chrono Cross? That sounds about right there. Okay, so the reason I'll run these polls, especially when we hear about remakes or remasters, I'm curious how many people have just missed out on them. And sometimes it's surprising, like Skyrim. Who thought that like a third of people have never played Skyrim before? So Chrono Cross, I expected that to be certainly on the lower end for people who have played it. And that means that we could see this game certainly show up as a remaster, even a remake, and it just kind of be shown off to a whole new audience. Maybe it gets them looking into something like Chrono Trigger. That's the one I can't wait for. When we do eventually hear about a remaster or a remake being rumored for that, I want to run a poll to see how many people have actually played Chrono Trigger, because I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Gaming Great, saying, I just hate that GameStop opens all the new games, have never gotten one sealed that's ordered from them, so I stopped buying from them. Yeah, that was one of the more annoying things for me, even when I worked there, because like a bunch of copies of a game, let's say 100 Call of Duties would come in, they'd be like, go ahead and gut 10 of them, which means we got to cut it open, take the disc out, and then put the box on the wall, which always led to this awkward situation if it was one of the last copies, where it comes off the counter, put the disc in, close it up, put this really annoying sticker that like the adhesive would just be terrible on this thing to rip off, and then tell them it's new, when clearly it's not. Like, I know it's not, they know it's not, but it comes down to it being the policy, and I just work here. And ladies and gentlemen, that's good to hear for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's Nintendo responding to the Activision situation, but what kind of action do you think they're really going to be taking? Let me know about that one. Then also, what about the Chrono Cross remaster? But what do you think about Square Enix taking a shot at a Chrono Trigger remake after Final Fantasy VII? Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great Thanksgiving. I'll see you back here Friday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.